Hey, this is Ricky Burke, CyberSec people, putting together a video on networking. So really important aspect, I think, of any job, particularly in the InfoSec industry, is around networking. So a lot of advice that people give is you got to do networking. That's great, but how do you do it? So it's true, the old saying, it's not what you know, but who you know. To extend on that, it's also who knows you. So how do you network? So if you are like most people, you find networking pretty uncomfortable. I'll be very honest, I go to events, not so much these days because fortunately I better network now. But a while ago when I first broke into the InfoSec space is I didn't know a single person. So going to an event and knowing nobody is quite a daunting thing. And it just feels bloody awkward. Going somewhere, seeing a room of people, you don't know anyone, and having to try and strike up a conversation, or you see a group of people and you just don't want to introduce or intrude on those 2, 3 people or 5, 10 people talking, because it just feels weird. But unfortunately, you've got to put yourself out there and network. But there's some practical steps you can take to do that. And I'd like to share with you some things that have really helped me develop my network and just gives you a better opportunity to meet people and just have more success in doing so. So the first thing is all around the planning. So the event you're going to, first of all, research the topic. So you should be interested in what's happening. But also research the people going. So who is the organizer? Who are the people speaking at the event? So something I've done a few times is then reach out to those people, particularly the organizer, and just be honest. Say, this is my first event, I don't know anyone, what is your advice? And fortunately I've been in situations where they've been really kind and said, come say hello when you're here and I'll introduce you to some people. And that's exactly what's happened. And I've made some amazing contacts off the back of that. Also is the speakers. So if you have a genuine interest in what a speaker is talking about, go and see the presentation and then look to meet them after for a coffee or grab a few minutes. Learn. It's something else to talk about with other people, but also it's another contact for you as well. Big thing is just suck it up. You've got to just get on with it. It is uncomfortable, but again, if you have a plan, I think it can make the situation a bit easier. Set, I think, reasonable expectations. So you can't meet every single person at an event. You can't talk to anyone. It's like anything, if you spread yourself too thinly, then there's no depth in that. You're not making, I think, beneficial connections. So I think if you set yourself a goal that you would like to speak to 3 people, something still small that you can build on, I think can give you a nice platform. So say to yourself, I'm going to speak to 3 or 5 people, and then go from there. How you strike up those conversations, they can happen in different ways. You could be queuing up for food, you could be queuing up for a drink. Something that's worked quite well for me a few times is often at an event there's some food or drink and there's a small stand or table where people generally have to sit and eat or stand and eat. Plot yourself up there, see who comes to you, or if you see someone on their own, go and have a conversation. And how you do that is like you do in everyday life. Be a human being, a normal person. Just ask questions. Hi, how are you? There's a number of open questions you can ask. Ask the person, how was your day? How's the event? What are you looking to get out of the event today? Why are you here? Have you been to this event before? What's the best event you've been to? What do you do in your job? And see where it goes. You can't orchestrate a conversation and the journey of it so much, but you can at least initiate the start of it. Listen to the person. Something I definitely need to improve on, and I'll hold my hands up to this, is I'm not always the best at remembering who I'm talking to, and it's something I'm trying to work on. But remember who you're talking to, remember their name, and then actually try and take some notes after the conversation. So a small trick that I do is once I've had a conversation with someone, I just bring up the notes on my phone and then just type a few notes, and then I've got that for future reference. A good place to generally meet people is at the bar, or if there's alcohol. Again, it's always the more lightens part of an afternoon or evening, so it always makes things a bit easier. But the main thing is you do have to just put yourself out there. It just doesn't happen by itself. If it does, you're lucky, but I think put yourself out there, keep it small in terms of target numbers, and then see what happens, because you just never know where things land, because going to an event is a really exciting thing. I think sometimes there's big events and people really look forward to the content and the presentation side. What I'd say is often events and the presentations themselves, they can be then you can find the keynotes, you can find presentations online. What you can't generate after that meetup or the event is the actual networking side. So you can watch a YouTube video of the presentation 1 week, 2 weeks later, or whenever it may be. But what you can't recreate is those 50, 100, 1,000 plus people that were there. So it's all about those opportunities of meeting someone, because you could meet your future employer, your future business partner, future friends. You just don't know where things go. So, be open-minded, because you never know who you're talking to. And also just on the research front, use LinkedIn as a tool. So if you go to an event, check out someone on LinkedIn, because you never know, you might have a mutual friend or connection, and it's something to talk about. So again, just another option, another reason to talk to somebody as well. So I hope these steps can help. I'm sure there's plenty more things that I can list and think about to help advise as well, but these are just a few steps that I think that can make a difference. If there are any more suggestions, please let me know, because I'd love to hear and add to this down the line as well. So happy networking. Take care.